Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. Let's talk about Valentine Salire. And I'm glad that she came to Global because this gives me another chance to talk about her and everything she brings to mind. I passed on the first chance that I had when she was released in JP because this is not going to be a fun video to make or watch, but I think it's an important video for me to make, so I'll take the chance now. I'm turning off comments because I don't want an explosion here. If you have something to say in response, you can take it to Reddit, or you can make a response video. I will watch it. If you comment about this video on another video, I will block you. And in the comments, I often pin something additional, but for this video, I'll put links for information in the video description, so please open that and have a look. What's there is more important than what is in this video, to tell the truth. I see a lot of interest in fighting exploitation of children, but I also see a lot of misinformed folks or folks directing their energy in the wrong direction, like calling random people on the internet names or bringing a gun to a pizza parlor, for example. So here I'll introduce a few resources that are making a real positive change. You can learn from them or contribute some help, whether it be money or time or miles or points. And since Global is not just English and not just America, I can recommend a couple of global resources here. UNICEF is an international charity organization helping children around the world, not just about sexual exploitation, but also child labor, refugees, and children's rights. There's also the Global Alliance Against Trafficking in Women, not specifically about children, but very related, of course. And then for American organizations helping not only in prevention and awareness in human trafficking, but also with support for victims of trafficking. There is My Life, My Choice, the Polaris Project, and Freedom Network USA. You might not think so, but human trafficking is widespread in America, and the most at-risk children are immigrants, people of color, children in the welfare system, and LGBTQ. Please have a look again, that is in the description for the video. Educating yourself and raising your own awareness is a great first step, and then giving, volunteering, and/or spreading awareness are great follow-up steps. Okay, but let's talk about Valentine Salire. Morally, I think this costume character combo is fine, and I base that on one thing, how far along developmentally her body looks. She looks like she has gone through puberty. Children don't have chests and hips like that, so I deem her an adult, so I feel fine ogling her. If Sakura were wearing this outfit, that would not be okay. I think what a lot of people are taking issue with are her childish personality and stated age. And childish personality doesn't really mean anything to me. There are people in their 30s and 40s that act like children, so that's no indicator. But let's talk about stated age, which is actually never explicitly stated in the game. First of all, there is a difference between underage and prepubescent. Underage is different culture by culture, whereas children go through puberty at the same ages around the world. So let's put aside the idea of underage. Let's get cultural differences out of the discussion, and instead focus on the biological child development side, so we can all be on the same page and think and talk about this more objectively. Stated age is kind of used in a wink-wink kind of way in Japan, specifically with the Rori Baba characters. Rori stands for Lolita. Baba is a nickname for Oba-san, or old lady. These are characters that look like 9 years old, but are actually 1,000 years old. They're like gods or witches or fairies or whatever. I don't like these characters because it's really reaching for an excuse to make sexualizing a prepubescent body acceptable. It's never acceptable. And so when looking at a figure, I judge it by the body's development, nothing else. And I'll say here that children are sexual beings, but that does not mean that they want to have sex. To be sexual means different things at different ages, and for prepubescent children, this can simply mean being curious about their body or being curious about the differences between boys and girls. I can certainly regale you with stories about peeking at the neighbor's girl skinny dipping when I was 4, or getting a boner at 9 and wondering what was going on, or getting my first ejaculation and not enjoying it at all because I thought I had broken something. But yes, Children can be sexual beings, but not be ready or want to participate in the act of sex. And this is just my own personal thinking, but I feel there are three types of sexual growth. For your body, for your mind, and for your heart. Your body goes through puberty and you become able to make babies. Your mind grows in the knowledge of sex, what it is for and what it is not for, how to do it well, and what it means to you and your partner and society. Finally, in your heart, you learn to accept the idea of sex, embrace the idea, gain an appetite, if you will. Unless there's something wrong, everybody's body becomes ready for sex eventually. But for some people, the mind and heart matters of sex can lag behind, and some poor folks never grow in the mind and heart. We've all probably heard of adult people that are like disgusted by it, or afraid of it, or they only do it to make babies. Those people really strike me as tragic, and it's an issue of stunted growth or lack of education, or maybe a bad first experience. I feel like frank, honest sex education is so important to not only healthy views on sex, but also healthy views of the self and healthy views on our relationships with other people, even those that are not sexual. Sex education that lies or paints a rosy picture, or maybe worst of all, pretends that sex doesn't exist, is very harmful. If you don't learn about sex from a trusted source, you're more likely to learn something untrue, perhaps from someone manipulating your ignorance in order to take something from you. If we had better education, there would be fewer abusers and abused, because people would understand that sex does not stand as a proxy for something else, and also targets would be better able to defend themselves, to not be tricked or coerced. And also, better education would help honest people just trying to figure it out, and they would make fewer mistakes. There would be fewer unwanted pregnancies and abortions, and also less desire for sex at a young age, because there would be better understanding that sex is not necessarily a rite of passage to adulthood, it doesn't make you cool, it's not a contest within your friends to see who can do it first, that kind of thing. So, tying this back to children, prepubescent children are not ready for the act in any sense. Their bodies are not ready to make babies, their minds are probably not ready because they don't understand the mechanics and the biology and the meaning of the act. And their hearts are not ready because each person's relationship with the idea of sex is so surprisingly complex and personal that even many adults haven't figured it out, so it's impossible for a child to understand it, much less have an appetite for it. And here I can talk real quick about why I prefer One-sons. Yes, they have rockin' bods, but also they are mature in the three ways that I laid out. Body, mind, and heart. They got the body, they got the know-how, and they got the appetite. I mean, Helena, she is a widow with 2 children. I say bring her on. She'll know what she wants, and she'll know how to get it from me. And I had relations with a girl, but a part of her wasn't mature enough for it. She was just laying there like a lump, embarrassed to be naked, just waiting for me to put my tenderness into her flower. And this was in college. This was not fun at all. Come on, give me somebody who knows what they're doing. But here I want to talk about children in Japanese pop culture, specifically anime, manga, and video games. I do not like how they are so prevalent. I talked about Rori Babas earlier. I do not like how they are sexualized, whether covertly or overtly. I was watching the Fate spin-off the other day, almost as an experiment, to see how soon they would put in something I felt was inappropriate with prepubescent children, and it only took like 20 minutes. I was not surprised that it happened, but I was shocked at just how gratuitous and obvious it was. I was angered because crap like that normalizes the sexualization of prepubescent children. You see or show the taboo thing enough times, it stops feeling taboo, it becomes normalized. I've heard folks defending such artwork, saying that since it is so widespread in Japan that it's okay, but just because something is widespread doesn't mean it's okay. I want the sexualization of prepubescent children to end in Japanese pop culture, and frankly, I want prepubescent children to just stop appearing so much in Japanese pop culture, meant for adults, even innocently. It's just not natural for grown adults to be so interested and invested in a child character. I don't know if she's elsewhere other than in the States, but there's a children's cartoon show, Dora the Explorer. How creepy would it be if a grown man had a poster of Dora the Explorer in his bedroom? Children should be interested in children, adults should be interested in adults. And yes, I know this is an uphill battle because even outside of pop culture, Japan does not do a whole lot to protect children from predators, and it doesn't do enough to punish predators that are caught in order to dissuade others. I was going to give some examples, but they're just too depressing, so never mind. And here I want to clear something up, the definitions of pedophilia and pedophiliac. Lots of people throw those words around casually, like as an insult or for virtue signaling, but it's important to get the definition right, just like it's important to trust those charities and programs I showed earlier, rather than random know-nothings on message boards. Pedophilia is a sickness, an unnatural sexual urge towards children. Pedophiliacs are people that suffer that sickness. A lot of folks equate people who assault children with pedophiliacs, but that's not 100% true. There are people that assault children that are not pedophiliacs, and there are pedophiliacs that do not assault children. Pedophilia is a disease that must be diagnosed by a professional, and to call some random person on the internet a pedophile is assuming quite a bit. So, pedophilia is a sickness, and there are people that suffer from it that don't want to be pedophiles. They know to act on their impulses is wrong and hurtful, they struggle with repressing their urges, and they wish they didn't have those urges. The best thing they can do is to find help and keep out of situations that would put them in proximity of children. On the other hand, there are people that embrace their pedophilia, and I've even heard of calls to have it recognized as a sexual orientation. That is some sick shit. Again, it's a disease to be treated, not something to be normalized. And going back to the healthy relationship with sex idea, healthy sex is between two or more consenting adults that understand the implications of the act, whether gay or straight. And going back to the being ready in body, mind, and heart for sex, children can only be coerced or forced into sex, and that has no part of sexual orientation. Give me a break. Okay. Let's end on a more fun note. Let's talk about the Salire costume from a fashion point of view. I talked about this briefly when she was released in JP, but this outfit is camp. On a hunch, I went looking through old photos of the Met Gala, which celebrates and revels in camp, and sure enough found this outfit on What's-Her-Face. The only things missing are the finger gloves and the rosebush hair. Camp is tasteless, and that's the point. I'm not a fan, but I get it. There are folks that like the aesthetic, like John Waters and RuPaul and all of that. You do you. War of the Visions, for the most part, is a classy game, especially compared to many other Japanese mobile games. So that maybe contributed to the reaction to Salire, because from a fashion point of view, she really didn't fit the world. Although actually Vinita is pretty campy as well. And wouldn't it be hilarious if lore-wise Vinita was the same age as Salire? What would folks say then? And let me remind you that Charlotte, she is 18. Alright, and then finally, let's talk about the modification they did for Global. I find it hilarious that the most vocal people about her are placated by this MS Paint rush job. They color a little skin and you're happy. Nothing much changed, to tell the truth. The sexual implications of this outfit are still very strong, and her body line is not modified at all. If you're satisfied with this minor change, it just shows me that you were never really offended to begin with. You just wanted to bully the developers to get a change, any change. And you got it. Good job. I'm impressed. I'm clapping. Can you hear me clapping? If you compare American comics to Japanese manga, the Americans are in ways more explicit. You take Rogue here from the X-Men. She's technically covered 100% from the neck down, but really there's little left to the imagination. It's essentially body paint, and Alex Ross, he agrees with me here. And so, what's really more profane? What is Eros? I'm sad that the developers caved to the pressure from folks who probably couldn't tell you what camp or Eros even mean, but whatever. To everyone who cried about the original outfit, I want you to put your money where your mouth is. Spend in the game. Take her to 120. If you don't, you're all sizzle, no steak. Okay, that'll do it for this video. I was being facetious at times with a bit of vinegar, but I'm dead serious about the programs that you can help in order to help with human trafficking. Alright, thanks for watching and we'll see you again. Take care.